Hey guys, in the last video I made, I uncovered some locations that were shown to us in the Black Ops Cold War Zombies trailer. I was able to do some investigative work that pinpointed the possible new locations for 4 zombie maps that might be coming. I'll have that video linked down below, and it's also the video right before this one. In the video, I speculated about the location of the map we're going to be playing, Die Maschine, and its possible location based on lots of clues in the trailer and how it links up with a real-world location and also has similarities to a Black Ops campaign mission location. All the clues from the teasers and trailers seem to link it to a mysterious underground nuclear facility in the Ural Mountains in Russia. And I'm not 100% on this being the location, but the clues have indeed led me there. And there have been some other community members that located some evidence that could put this map in another location. I decided to dig up what I could involving this evidence to either help support the theory or maybe even debunk it. Well, it looks like it is completely debunked. However, while looking into this information, I uncovered some mind-blowing info that I'm still trying to wrap my head around. I found it extremely fascinating and wanted to share it with you guys and get feedback on what you guys think about it. So in my last video, I used trailer clues to place Die Maschine in the Ural Mountains in Russia. One clue was that in the trailer, there was some footage played from Die Maschine that Weaver played on a monitor that showed a targeted location in the Ural Mountains in Russia. Then later on in the trailer, you're seeing gameplay of the map and you're seeing lots of snowy mountains and tall mountainous pine trees that do indeed fit that environment. However, the question still remains about Nacht der Untoten being a part of the new zombies map Die Maschine and it possibly being in Russia when the original Nacht zombies map is in Germany. Why would they now put Nacht in Russia? I mean, Treyarch does all kinds of stuff with dimensions and stuff like that, and that could probably explain it. But I still wanted to address this evidence showing that maybe Die Maschine is in Berlin. It certainly has a lot of people that enjoy the backstory and lore a bit confused. There was some speculative evidence that surfaced on Twitter that showed a real-life representation of a mural that is on the wall in Die Maschine. This tweet here was made by Geeky Pastimes, and shout out to him for locating this very similar image that matches the image in the map. On Die Maschine, you can see that in the Nacht building, there are stairs going up, and there is a graffiti mural that shows a rabbit and a doll riding in a red wagon. Apparently, this scene here does actually exist in real life and is very similar but not identical. The real graffiti mural depicts Calvin and Hobbes riding down some stairs in a red wagon. Along with this picture comparison, he stated that the real mural was located in Berlin, Germany. And so far, everything fits. Calvin and Hobbes cartoon was developed in the mid-1980s, and graffiti was pretty hot during that time, so this time and place certainly makes sense. And it does fit the era that Black Ops is covering for Cold War in the 1980s. And the location of Berlin, Germany, I was super curious to find out if it was true. If it was true and the real-life version of this mural existed in Berlin, then maybe that would help tie Die Maschine to Germany and where we have thought Nacht der Untoten to be located up until now. And I was really expecting to see that this real-life mural was indeed in Germany, but after doing some major digging, it looks like it is not in Berlin at all and not anywhere near Germany. So Geeky Pastimes had that part of his information incorrect, and after my research and seeing what I saw, I can see how he was mistaken. However, what he doesn't know is that this find was pretty huge and actually tells a story that I was not expecting to encounter and uncover. After finding this, some major questions were answered and put to bed, but in return, it gave rise to many more mysteries and questions that we may not ever find the answer to. Now, let me show you this rabbit hole I fell down and how I journeyed through the depths of the interwebs and stumbled onto this information. Okay, it really wasn't that dramatic, but it was fun to follow the trail and finally end up where I did. So first things first in this investigative journey is to find out where this picture came from. Again, I was looking to see that it was indeed in Germany and maybe even Berlin. I uploaded this image to Google and used the reverse image option, and it did return a lot of websites, but all of them were trying to sell me this picture as murals that were printed on canvases and saying that it was fine art. I went through dozens of sites showing the image as it being for sale, but none showed any information about what it was or where it came from. There were a couple of sites that said made in Germany, but it was referring to the canvas that the art was printed on, so it's possible that that's where Geeky might have seen seen something regarding that location and thought that it was in Germany. At this point, I was beginning to think that this picture wasn't even real, but maybe a digital image using realism. Finally, I came across a page that showed the actual original image and the photographer that took the picture. He has a site where he sells his photographs, and this image is one of them. I went into his library of photos to see that this mural was amongst other graffiti murals and that all of the photos he took were from the same location and building, so I felt like I was getting somewhere at that point. I was looking around for any information, and he did label the photos saying that they were taken in Finland. And this is where I was like, what? Yeah, I was totally shocked to see that, yeah, this is not Germany at all and is in fact in Finland somewhere. One of the photographs in this collection showed the outside of the building that housed all of this colorful graffiti. And the only information that the photographer gave is that this building was located in Tampere, Finland. At this point, I wasn't satisfied yet, and I wanted to look further and find where this building was and what else was inside, and also to prove that this mural does exist in there. And I'm really glad I looked into this because, yeah, it opened up a whole new mystery and definitely helped to answer some questions. I did another image reverse of the front of the building that he had photographed, and it brought up a blog of a traveler that explored this graffiti-infested building, and in that blog, she gave the address of this building and what it was called. That was all the info I needed to finally blow the top off this mystery. Everything was accessible now, lots of wiki info, and plenty of YouTube videos with people touring and showcasing the artistic graffiti inside. First, the wiki info and what the building is or was and what it's called. The building was called OTK's Match Factory and was in operation from 1926 to 1975 in Tampere, Finland. In this factory, they created matches with the use of aspen logs, and this building has been abandoned since the 1970s and now serves as a huge unofficial graffiti gallery where even today's artists are making their art on the walls and pillars throughout the entire building. The next step was to locate what all was inside and hopefully locate this similar image that is on the wall in Die Maschine. I viewed several YouTube videos, and shout out to Honda Writers, he helped me dig up some of these videos. It shows people touring the building, and I was looking for people that would actually walk by this mural and show it and prove that it's in here. This individual here was trying to use a drone to capture footage, and this is the best evidence I could find to show that, yeah, this red wagon mural is indeed in this building. You can see it there on the right. Looks like they're trying to be really careful and fly this drone and not crash it. While viewing all of this footage, this is where things turned and got very interesting. So I had to sit through many minutes of footage watching people walk around to try and catch them walking by this mural. Whilst doing that, something very familiar came over me. The tourists were walking upstairs and through large rooms that started to feel like something I had seen before. There were a couple of scenes where I was taken aback. This shot here, they are walking up some stairs that turn onto an upper floor that looked very similar to the architecture and layout of Nacht der Untoten's second floor. I was like, wait a minute. I really began to question, is this just a coincidence or something going on here? Another scene here looks pretty close to what the help door area looks like on the first floor of Nacht. I was like, what the hell's going on? The concrete pillars and curvature joints at the ceiling and the way they're placed throughout the rooms just gave me hardcore Nacht der Untoten vibes. And maybe buildings created during this era were all structurally designed this way. I haven't really looked too much into that, but this building here with the mural being on the wall and then the way it looks, it's like, yeah, something's up. Even the stairs and railings seem similar, and again, the fact that the mural on Die Maschine in Nacht is directly themed after a wall from this building really had my brain going. I started to see a lot of similarities. This is a two-story building, and so is Nacht der Untoten. This is an abandoned building, and so is Nacht der Untoten. If you look at the original description of the very first Nacht that was created for World at War campaign, you will see that it is indeed labeled as an abandoned building. And of course, there is a buttload of graffiti, which obviously now exists in our Cold War version of Nacht. This raised the big question for me, was this the building that gave birth to the concept for the World at War abandoned building that was also transformed into our first zombies map, Nacht der Untoten? Is it possible that I could be looking at the origins of our beloved map? And did this real-life location give the devs inspiration for the design we see now in Cold War with all of the graffiti? I'm gonna say yes. We do know that one of the devs definitely knows about this place and has seen it. That's pretty obvious. Is it possible that yes, they did use this building way back for the development of World at War, and all the while they have known that this building was covered in graffiti, and now that we have a Black Ops game that is set in the 1980s, they are now able to represent this state of the building with all the graffiti, and that could explain why the actual F there is a ton of graffiti in the Cold War map. It seemed really random and strange when I saw it in the trailer, but after seeing this, I think it makes sense why they did it. That's my speculation anyway. I do know for a fact that the devs use real-life inspiration for constructing some of our famous maps and settings. They even went as far as using a real maze that really exists in real life for the buried maze. The real maze is in a botanical gardens in Missouri. Also, there is a biodome next to this maze that was used to create the biodome on Moon. So yes, this is what they do. They start out with real life stuff and create from there. So for me, I'm leaning towards this being the building they use for inspiration over 12 years ago. Unless someone knows the real backstory to the World at War location in the campaign and can completely blow this theory out of the water. 12 years ago when they created that campaign and the location that is now Nacht, all of this graffiti existed. So they might have been holding on to the idea and knowledge and are able to finally use it. If not, then this is such a massive mind-blowing coincidence. And it could very well be the reverse. They just happened to have found a building that already looked structurally like Nacht after they already had created it and decided to copy the graffiti from it. Knowing how they operate, I don't think that's the case. So to wrap this up, my speculation is that this was indeed the inspiration for the abandoned building in the World at War campaign that also got turned into zombies. And with the current Nacht map in Cold War and being set in the 1980s, they're able now to throw this graffiti from it on there. And this is why they surprised us with this graffiti that seemed so incredibly random. When I saw the trailer, I was like, what the hell is that all about? I feel like having this knowledge helps me to make sense of it and explain why they might have done this. And there might be even more to learn here in regards to more graffiti from this real life building that matches graffiti on Die Maschine. I think that's going to take some time to figure out. We would need to be able to get inside the map first and really have a look around to see if anything else is the same. And I don't think they really intended for us to find this real building, and I don't think Finland has any significance. I mean, it's crazy that we're even able to figure out this much. For Geeky to find that photo and know that that even existed, that was cool. And then to see all this other information is just awesome. So I still feel like Die Maschine is still in the Russian mountains somewhere, and solving the mystery of this mural really helped to support that theory even more. Let me know what you guys think about this. Does it seem similar to you, or is this just a massive coincidence? Again, we may never know. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and we'll see you next video.